welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to look at the multiple choice section of the National 5 specimen paper. This can be found on the SQA website. The idea behind this video is that it will show you the reasoning behind the answer and not just the answer which is given in the mark scheme. This first question requires you to know the 7 diatomic elements. The 7 diatomic elements can be remembered by a mnemonic. This mnemonic is have no fear of ice cold beer. So have is for hydrogen, no is for nitrogen, fear for fluorine, of for oxygen, ice for iodine, cold for chlorine, and beer for bromine. Having a look at the answers, we can see that the answer to this question is nitrogen. Helium is a noble gas and exists as a monatomic gas, single atoms. Silicon is a network compound, a network element, and sulfur is a molecule. It exists as S8 rings. Question 2. Which line in the table correctly describes a proton? Protons are found in the nucleus of an atom. Their mass is 1 atomic mass unit and they provide part of the mass of an atom, and they have a positive charge. This means that our answer is C. Question 3. Ionic compounds conduct electricity when they are molten because they have A. Ions that are free to move, B. Delocalized electrons, C. Metal atoms, or D. A lattice structure. When ionic compounds are a solid, the ions are held in a lattice of alternating positive and negative ions. The charges are fixed in place and they cannot move. When you melt an ionic compound, you break the strong ionic bonds between the ions and allow those ions to move. Because they are charged particles, if they are free to move, then they're able to conduct electricity. So A is the answer. Question 4, we have a molecule of phosphine. This is pH 3, and we're asked to describe the shape of phosphine. So linear is based on a straight line, so would be something with perhaps 2 atoms joined together in this arrangement. Angular is like water, where you have an angle between 3 atoms. Tetrahedral is based on a tetrahedron, so we'd have this shape. And a trigonal pyramidal looks like a pyramid. So this is the best fit for phosphine. Here we have some information about some different particles and the subatomic particles that can be found in the atoms or ions. We want to know which of these particles is a negative ion, so we need to find out the charge. So to find the charge, we're going to take protons minus electrons. So here we have 9 minus 10 gives us a charge of -1. 11 minus 11, this has no charge. 15 minus 15 has no charge. And 19 minus 18, we have a +1 charge. So our negative ion is particle A, where we have more electrons than protons. Question 6. The table shows the colours of some ionic compounds when they're in solution. So this is a problem-solving question, and we are looking for the colour of the chromate ion. So we have 2 compounds which have the chromate ion in, and we need to use the other information to help us. So if we look at strontium nitrate, it is colourless. This means that both ions within strontium nitrate have no colour. When we now look at strontium chromate, we know that strontium has no colour, so the yellow colour must be coming from the chromate ion. We can confirm this by looking at copper nitrate. Nitrate has no colour and copper must be blue. When we then mix together our copper and our chromate, we have the blue and the yellow to give us green. So the answer here is that the chromate ion must be yellow. Which of the following statements correctly describes the concentrations of hydrogen and hydroxide ions in pure water? So pure water exists as H2O in equilibrium with a very small number of hydrogen and hydroxide ions. Every molecule of water splits up into one hydroxide and one hydrogen ion. This means that the concentration of hydroxide and hydrogen ions are equal, making our answer A. Question 8, we are naming this compound. So we need to take the steps that we need to name compounds, which is to find the longest chain. Now this has been drawn in such a way as to make you either think that this or this is the longest chain. However, you need to find a chain of carbons that is continuous. So if you place your pen or pencil on one of the end carbons and trace down until you can go no further, we will find our longest chain actually has 4 carbons. So the name is going to be based on butane. We then have this branch here. We need to number from the end closest to that branch. So that's starting from here on the left, and our branch is on carbon number 2. The branch itself only has 1 carbon, so it is a methyl branch. This leads us to our answer C. Question 9. Which of the following could be a molecular formula for a cycloalkane? So cycloalkanes have the general formula CnH2n. So we need to find something which fits this, which will be C6H12. So which of the following types of reaction is oxygen a reactant? So in combustion, you take a fuel and you burn it in oxygen. Neutralization is where you are neutralizing H+ ions, often with hydroxide ions or a base. Polymerization is the joining of multiple monomers, usually through a carbon-to-carbon double bond, and precipitation is where you take 2 aqueous solutions and you produce a solid. So our answer is A, combustion. You need to be familiar with all the different types of reaction that are possible. Number 11 is another problem-solving question. So molecules in which 4 different atoms are attached to a carbon atom are said to be chiral. So that's a definition to help you. Which of the following molecules is chiral? So each of these molecules has a carbon atom at the centre, and you're looking for which of them has 4 different things attached. So in A, we have 2 hydrogen atoms. In B, we have 3 hydrogen atoms. In C, we have 2 hydrogen atoms, whereas in D, we've got hydrogen, iodine, bromine, and fluorine, meaning that D is our chiral compound. Question 12, we have 3 members of the cycloalkene family, and we're to work out the general formula. The best way to do this is to write out the formulas for each of these underneath and try and find the links. So in this first one, we have C4H6, C5H8, and C6H10. Now for all the general formulas, they start CnH2n. So if we take C4H6, if we double 4, we get 8, and to get to 6, we must minus 2. We can check this on the others. So C5, double is 10, minus 2 is 8, and C6, double is 12, minus 2 is 10. So our general formula is CnH2n minus 2, which is A. Question 13. Which of the following molecules is an isomer of hept2ene? So first of all, we're going to draw hept2ene. And we'll write out the formula for hept2ene also. So hept2ene is an alkene with 7 carbons. We have 14 hydrogens. So if we now have a look at each of the options that we have. For A, we only have 6 carbons. For B, we have C7H16, as this is an alkane. For C, we have C7H14, so this is an option, but so does D. D is hept2ene. If we count from the right-hand side, the double bond is on the second carbon. So that means that C is the isomer. Question 14. We have a student testing some compounds and we have the results in the table. And another related compound, and we're to find out what we think the results would be. So let's have a look at the table. So first of all, looking at the pH part of the table. So we have 2 compounds with pH 4 and 2 compounds with pH 7. And we're going to have a look at what makes these sets of compounds different. So the 2 compounds with pH 4 both have this carboxyl group on the end, whereas the 2 compounds with the OH have a pH of 7. We're then having a look at the effect on bromine solution. We have 2 compounds with no effect and 2 compounds which decolorized. The 2 compounds which decolorized have a C double bond C. So let's look now at the molecule that we have. So this molecule has an OH group, which means that this is going to have either pH 7, so it's going to be either B or D. We then need to have a look at the rest of the structure, and we have a C double bond C, which means that it will decolorize bromine water. This leads us to B as the answer. Question 15. Which of the following diagrams could be used to represent the structure of a metal? So the structure of a metal, if we define it, is a lattice of positive cores held together by a sea of delocalized electrons. So having a look at the different options, in option A we have positive cores here with electrons beside them. So this is a metal. However, let's look at the other structures and eliminate them. In B, we have a set of diatomic molecules. So this is covalent molecular. In C, we have atoms which are bonded through covalent bonds to each other in a long-range lattice. So this is a covalent network. And then in D, we have alternating positive and negative ions. So this is ionic. Question 16. Which of the following substances does not produce water when it reacts with dilute acid? So if we take an acid such as hydrochloric acid, we can write out the equations for each of these. So if we have HCl plus NaOH, we will get H2O and NaCl. If we take magnesium and HCl, we get hydrogen gas and magnesium chloride. If we take copper oxide and HCl, we will get water and copper chloride. And finally, ammonia solution, which exists as NH4OH and HCl, we will get water and ammonium chloride. Therefore, our answer is B, magnesium. For question 17, you'll need your data book. Which of the following metals can be extracted from its oxide by heat alone? For this, we need to find the least reactive metal, which will be found near the bottom of the reactivity series, and is gold. Question 18. In the cell shown above, electrons flow through what? So electrons always flow from the more reactive metal to the less reactive metal. So here they're going to be going from zinc to tin. Again, you can find this in your data book on page 10. So we can take out the two which involve tin to zinc. Electrons always flow through the wires. So they will go this way through the wires. You find ions flowing through the solution. So the answer is D, the connecting wire from zinc to tin. Question 19. 4 cells were made by joining silver to copper, iron, tin and zinc. And we've got voltages shown in the table. Which cell contained silver joined to copper? So if we look at the data book, we'll find that silver and copper are the two closest together metals of this selection, which means that the voltage that they produce will be the smallest, which is D. Question 20. The ion-electron equation for the oxidation and reduction steps in a reaction between magnesium and silver ions are shown below. And we need to write the overall redox equation, so we have to combine these. First of all, we need to multiply the second equation by 2 to allow us to join them together and cancel out the electrons. So if we cancel the electrons and we join these equations together now, we take everything that is on the left-hand side of either arrow and put them together, and then put the two sets of products together also. This leads us to our answer of A. Question 21. The structure below shows a section of addition polymer. Which of the following molecules is used to make this polymer? So addition polymers are always made using unsaturated monomers. So we can score out D as an answer. If we were to chop up this polymer into the monomers, we would cut at these points here and reform the double bonds here, here and here. So both the methyl group and the ester group are found on the same carbon, giving us our answer of B. So hydrogen gas in the test, we should know that hydrogen gas burns with a pop. The gas which relights a glowing splint would be oxygen. The gas which turns damp pH paper red would be sulfur dioxide, and turns lime water cloudy would be carbon dioxide. Question 23. What is the charge on the iron ion in Fe2SO4 3? So iron is a transition metal and can have varying charges and valencies. However, SO4 you will find on page 8 of your data book, and it has a charge of 2-. You have 3 of these, which means you have an overall negative charge in this compound of 6-. The overall compound has no charge, which means that the overall positive charge must be 6 positive, split across the 2 iron ions, which means each of them must be 3 positive. Question 24. Sodium sulfate reacts with barium chloride solution. What are the spectator ions? So within this reaction we have a precipitation reaction. We're taking 2 aqueous compounds and producing a solid. The spectator ions in this reaction are those which do not produce the solid. So they will be those which are found in sodium chloride. Finally, question 25. But1ene is a colourless insoluble gas which is more dense than air but less dense than water. which of the following diagrams shows the most appropriate apparatus for collecting and measuring the volume of But1ene? So as But1ene is more dense than air, we could use the measuring cylinder and have it sink to the bottom. However, as it's colourless, we wouldn't be able to measure this. B would be for something that is less dense than air. D would not allow you to collect the gas. So the answer is C. You would bubble this through water since it doesn't dissolve in water, and you'd be able to displace the water and read how much gas you've produced. Thank you for watching my video. I hope that you found it helpful. Please remember to subscribe and ring the bell for updates on new videos. Remember to follow me on Twitter at MissAdamsChem and Instagram MissAdamsChemistry for flashcards. Bye for now.